Good morning, people. Lonnie, Real Alcoholic here. All right, let's recap a little bit. Our first column. Now, we want to make sure we do these one column at a time. Okay? On our first column, we're going to list the people, the institutions, the principles. Okay? And like I said, I only want to put four, no more than five or six, okay? Because we're going to need to write some stuff. But we're going to list all these people. We're going to bring to mind all these people we were pissed off at. Even principles. I didn't include it, but a principle would be love thy neighbor as thyself, right? I don't like that principle. The principle of no sex before marriage. I don't like that principle. The principle of live and let live. Oh, I don't like that principle. Okay, so we listed all of these things, right? All these people, institutions, and principles. Then the second column, we're going to have the sponsee. We're going to have them make some bullet points for each person as to why they're pissed off. What happened? What did this person do that's causing this resentment? What was the event that went down? And we really don't have to get too involved right now. We give them the time to write this stuff out. Okay. Once they're done with that, then we're going to talk about these. Okay. What happened? Let's go. Who's first on your list? All right. This predator. And I'm going to ask them what happened. So now they're going to start telling me their little bullet points. Okay. The reason we do this is because, like I said, we don't want to fall into morbid reflection. We do not want to stay there. People talk about we lose people in 4 steps. That's why. Do not send your people out there to do this by themselves. All right? We want to sit down face to face with them the way they did it in the book. Ebby did it with Bill. Bill did it with Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob did it with the man in the story. He sold himself short. And so it has been ever since. We sit down with these people and we help them go through this process. Okay? The book was written for those that do not have contact with a recovered member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Guys, please remember that. Okay? So, we're going to start talking about this stuff. Okay? He's going to inform me on each one. Okay? We're going to do the whole column. We're going to talk about all these people. Now we're going to get to this third column. Okay? And we've explained what our instincts are already. We've talked about these. We're going to make sure the person understands what self-esteem is and that it's a God-given instinct. My personal relations, the need for that is a God-given instinct. My personal security, that's a God-given instinct. My ambitions, God-given instinct. Sex relations, God-given. Okay? These are not faults within themselves. But what we're going to see is we're going to see that these people affected this, and I got scared. They threatened me in some kind of way. Some kind of basic instinct got threatened. Okay, let's take the first one. This guy molested me at the beach. What did that affect? Well, of course that affected my self-esteem. I felt like shit. Affected my sex relations. Because after the fact, I started acting out sexually as a kid. Man, I got that feeling. Even though I was confused, man, that was a good feeling. I liked that feeling. And so I started acting out. It affected my security. Man, my personal safety. I can't tell you the fear of people, the fear of getting close to people, who's going to hurt me next type feeling. So it definitely affected my personal security, and I was fearful that somebody was going to hurt me again. Okay, threatened to drown me. Okay, that affected my personal security. Took a shower with us afterward. Man, that affected my self-esteem. The shame and the guilt I had seeing this person. Okay? All right. So now, we're done with that, guys. I can see that my God-given instinct of self-esteem, that was threatened. That was hurt. My sex relations was threatened. It was interfered with. My security was threatened. It was interfered with. Once again, these other situations, self-esteem, security. So what happened was my instincts got threatened and I got fearful. Now we're going to do a fear inventory later, okay? But that's it. That's all we're going to talk about this guy that molested me. And we're going to move on, all right? There's a fact-finding and fact-facing mission. Number 2, we got this rapist, all right? Made me think he was a friend. Well, that affected my personal relations. That affected my self-esteem. Just used me. Just manipulated me into thinking, how could I fall for that, right? So my self-esteem was affected. Got me high and drunk, and that affected my security. My personal well-being was affected because this person allowed me to get high and drunk. Locked the door and made me pay up. Of course, that affected my personal well-being. My physical well-being was interfered with. My sex relations interfered with. Okay? That's it. We're going to move on. So what I'm looking at here is, in both situations, I'm seeing how these basic instincts are getting threatened and they're getting interfered with. And that hurts. That causes me to be in fear. That causes me worry. That causes me doubt. That gives me a irritable, restless, and discontent feeling when my instincts are getting threatened. All right, let's go to the second wife. So what was threatened? And that's what I ask them. What was threatened? And by this time, I think they're getting the picture. Okay? My personal relations. They're going to tell me their self-esteem was threatened, right? Their security. Personal relationships was threatened because of the assault. My ambitions were threatened. And I'm going to ask every now and then, like, okay, what was threatened? They're going to tell me my ambitions were threatened. Okay, tell me what that looked like. How were your ambitions threatened? Well, my ambition was to have a well-rounded family. My ambition was to be a proud family man. And that was threatened. Okay, good. You got the picture now. Let's move on. So for each bullet point, now sometimes each bullet point, we will do security, personal relations, ambitions. We'll see what instinct was threatened on each bullet point. Okay? Sometimes not. Not that big of a deal to me. Because we're going to get a clear picture of what's happening here. Okay, so we talked about we talked about our second wife. All right, we went through the second column, and we see what instincts were getting affected. Now, the government, politicians, what instincts are being affected there? Well, they're out for themselves, so that affects my security, right? My physical well-being, because if they don't do their job, as far as policing people, man, that can definitely affect my personal security. And it seems like they're really not concerned about people's personal security. If the government doesn't do a good job, then we'll end up with thousands upon millions of homeless people. And I could be one of those. That affects my security. Okay? So that's the instinct being threatened because they are out for themselves. It threatens my ambitions, all right, because they are looking out for themselves and not for the ordinary working man. So, of course, that threatens my ambition. They are ignorant and uneducated. Once again, threatens my ambitions. I would love to live in a country where our politicians are philosophical and they're looking out for the good of mankind, right, and the citizens of the republic, da 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 da, right. So by them being just what I claim uneducated and ignorant, I'm afraid they're going to make some bad choices, and that's going to affect my ambitions. The good old boy system affects my security once again, my ambitions, and my personal relations, right? Because my personal relations, I would love to rub shoulders with politicians, but you know what? I can't. I am not part of that good old boy system. I am not in that clique, and that affects my personal relations. Okay, so we look at that one, and we're seeing how in each situation, okay, whether it be the whole situation, whether it be each individual one, all right, what's happening is our basic God given instincts are being threatened. I'm mad at God. Okay, let bad shit happen to me. Hasn't shown himself to me, right? Well, that affects my personal security because I see bad shit happening to people all the time, like cancers, wars, um, natural disasters, right? I see bad shit happening all the time, so I'm fearful. My security is threatened. I could personally, physically be hurt if God doesn't do what he's supposed to do. It affects my ambitions. If this all-powerful, loving God is so powerful, why isn't he helping me achieve my goals or my ambitions? Self-esteem. Man, really affects my self-esteem. I read this shit with people that think they know about God and they claim to be doing well. It looks like they're doing well, but how come I'm not doing well? I'm not a bad guy, right? So my self-esteem is affected. Now, I think we have seen at this point, and it normally doesn't take long before a person will see what basic instincts got threatened in this situation. And that's all we're looking at. That's all we want to see. And so I will send them through the rest of the list. All right. They might have 5 pages with 40 names. I want you to go through each one of those, and I want you to see where your security was threatened, where your ambitions were threatened. And when you see those, you write down these, okay? As a person's doing that, they might be on name number 15. I'm going to ask them. And because we've already went through this, so I've picked out some key things that I might want to bring out to them. And so maybe on name 15, I want to ask them, how was your security threatened in that situation? And they'll tell me, and we'll talk about it. How was your sex relation threatened? They'll tell me, and we'll talk about it, right? And maybe on number 12 or 13, the 13th name we go through, I might pop in a little question there. Tell me how you were threatened. Just to know that they got the picture, and in their mind they are seeing clearly that our instincts are being threatened. Okay? And so we go through that list that way. And like I said, probably the first 6 to 10 names, we're going to go through each bullet point. If number 20 name is kind of like a big one, a big resentment, well, then we're going to talk about that one a little bit more, and I will ask some more specific questions, okay? But for the most part, once they see what's going on, we sit there and we just wait. Let them do their thing. We ask a few questions. Okay, so we did that. We go through column 3. Now, we went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others was wrong was as far as most of us ever got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse. Then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent do we permit this, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns, and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger, the grouch, and the brainstorm. That's a resentment, folks. A grouch and a brainstorm. Constantly rehashing something in my mind, hoping the past would be better than it was. A resentment. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for the alcoholic, these things are poison. All right, here's our column 4. We turned back to the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoings of others, fancied or real, had the power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course. Here's what we do. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick, though we did not like their symptoms. The way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done." Now, this is not something we're going to do in the future, guys. This is what we do right now in the 4th step. This prayer, we call it the sick man's prayer or the angry man's prayer. All right? We are going to say that. There's a reason it's in the 4th step. It's for us to say it for these people that have offended us. All right? We can call it a forgiveness prayers. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But we will offer a prayer for each and every one of these people. And we're going to ask God to help us forgive them. Can I forgive this person? Can I look upon this person as a sick person, that they, like ourselves, that's the big point here. My rapist, all right, like myself, was sick too. Oh, we may have to take a little more time on this prayer thing. Yes, my rapist, like myself, was sick too. Did I rape anybody? No. But you know what? I have the character defect of lust just like they do. They just exhibited it in a different way. And we'll see that when we get to this last column. Can I forgive this predator? Can I forgive the second wife? Can I forgive politicians and people in government? Can I forgive men of religion and all these religions that came up? Can I let go of this anger towards God? So, each person, we are going to say this sick man's prayer. And I want to be able, if I can't, I want to be willing to show them tolerance, pity, and patience. And I ask my sponsees to say a prayer for each and every person. And if they cannot forgive, if they cannot realize that, like ourselves, they were sick too, we need to talk about that a little bit more. And there's no use going forward. We say most of our meetings end with the Lord's Prayer, right? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive others. We have to forgive others. And Alcoholics Anonymous is showing us how to do that. That I am not perfect. They are not perfect. And like myself, they did some stupid shit. Can I show them tolerance, pity, and patience? Does that mean I have to be best friends with some of these people? No. Do I have to make amends to everybody that hurt me? No. But what I do have to do is I have to ask God, how can I be helpful? If that comes up again, how can I be helpful? If I see this person, can I be helpful? It takes some serious prayer, guys. It takes some serious thinking. We're getting into a psychic change now. I'm no longer to be angry at this person. I'm going to pray, how can I be helpful? That's a scary thought. But in this process, it has to be done. And we will say that prayer or a prayer for each one of these people. Awesome, guys. We can pray on that. And we will see you next time. And we will get into column 5, referring to our list again. All right. God bless. Have a good day.